So we're going to move on to our next speaker. That is Professor Gambari.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone in the house.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. My name is Professor Gambari. I'm Isiaka, the Dean School of Science and Technology Education, Federal University of Technology, Minna. I'm here to present a topic on technology integration, the primer for 21st century education and beyond. Okay, I want to go to the next slide. Okay, yeah. Here is my presentation outline. Starting from introduction, overview of technology in education, 21st century education, technologies for 21st century pedagogy, technology integration in the 21st century education, the future of technology in education beyond 21st century. Then I conclude the recommendation. The next slide. Slide is on. Okay. Overview of technology integration in education. I want to start by giving us the preamble of education in the 21st century. The education in the 21st century is beyond inculcating knowledge in students alone, but it involves actualizing the skills required to survive and bring about changes in modern society. And this kind of education is technological driven. The technology is any device which enables its user to engage in activities which otherwise will have been very difficult to achieve. Technology can also be looked at as a process. In this context, technology is referred to as the systematic application of scientific knowledge to achieve educational goals. Then what is the technology integration? Technology integration is the use of digital tools in education to allow students to apply technological skills to learning and problem solving. And in another definition, it is seen as the use of technology to enhance and support the educational environment, teacher instruction and student learning. So anywhere the teacher are using technology to improve his teaching, is integrating the technology into the classroom. Similarly, when the students are applying the technology to improve their learning, the technology is being used. This has to do with technology integration. In other words, the way in which educators infuse technology into the learning experiences of students. In 21st century, in the 21st century education, is technology driven, just as I've said. Then we have to understand what is the duration of this 21st century we have been talking about. 21st century began in January 1, 2001, and it will end on December 31st, 2100. And it is information and technology generation. And as we can see, there are four people that exist in this generation. Four different generations exist in this century. But let's look at how the 21st century education has changed the education structure. For example, from traditional lecture now, it has been changed to digital environment. Even the kind of qualification system has also changed to national and regional qualification, which is skill emphasized. The learning environment also changed from brick and mortar classroom to online and virtual classes. Teaching approaches also changed from teacher center, where teacher dominates the class, which becomes the master of all, and where the learner becomes passive learner. But in this century, the 21st century education has moved from teacher center to learner center approach, where the teacher are in the helm of affair. They are the one that control the learning. The teacher only facilitates the learning. The learning approaches also change from individualized learning to collaborative learning. Students work as a team presently. Then the content of delivery also change. Mostly we emphasize on content-based education, but 21st century has changed to outcome-based education. Then the delivery technology also changed. Before it was blackboard, later moved to whiteboard, then smartboard. Presently it's no board, that is mobile devices is involved. The learning devices also change from students carry the lecture notes to mobile devices for sharing using social networking, Bluetooth, flash sharing, and other things. The kind of assessment also changed as a result of this 21st century education, that is from paper and pencil exam to computer-based assessment. Also changed from product assessment to process and product assessment. These are the changes that are taking place in the 21st century. Next slide. We have to understand the technology aspect, how the technology influence this century. There are 4 types of generations within one century, within this century. We have them as the first one is silent generation. These are the people born before 1946. Presently, they are 75 years old and above. All these people in this category, they operate technology, the kind of technology in their time, different from the technology that is in existence now. Apart from that, the nature, these people see technology, some of them are technophobia. And in that case, they operate technology they cannot operate technology without reading the manual. So we have another set, which is baby boomer generation. They are the people that born in 1946 and 1964. They are between 57 to 74 years old now. They are digital immigrants. They are trying to migrate to the new technology because of the old technology they are using. We have Generation X, which is digital native. They are people born in 1965 to 1980. They are between 42 to 56 years old now. Then the next generation, these are the people that are born after 1980. They are between 41 years and below. These are the people that they don't need to operate technology without reading any manual. They operate any technology given to them without reading manual because the technology is in their generation. And the way the technology has meaning to this different generation. So these people of next generation, they cannot exist without the technology. Next slide. And in this century, there are some skills that for anybody to survive in this century must acquire. The first is learning skills, which has to do with critical thinking. The second one is creativity, collaboration, and communication. These learning skills are very, very important for anybody to survive in this 21st century. The second skill are literacy skills, which is information, media, and technology. While the third category of skills has to do with flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So all these skills enable everyone to stay competitive in a dynamic global job market. And this is what most of the employers are now using. If you look at the employer ranking of skills required for employment, you see that in most of the developing nations, we emphasize on CGPA. And the CGPA has to do with whether first class, second class, third class. And in the ranking of the skills, this class of degree is ranked as number 18. So meaning that there are some other skills that are very relevant, more important than emphasizing on CGPA. Next slide. So let's quickly look at most of the technologies for 21st century pedagogy. In a layman language, the pedagogy simply means the method of teaching, learning, and assessment. Next slide. So there are some technologies that are specifically for teaching. For example, technology supports any kind of teaching strategies that can be employed or can be used by the teacher in the class. There are no any strategies that are not supported by technology. And presently, most of the technologies, strategies that are in vogue now in the 21st century are different from those of 19th century strategies. Presently, based on the skills that students are expected to acquire in 21st century, there are so many new strategies that are in vogue, like a problem-solving method, a strategy like a flipped classroom, and many others. The technology allowed access to electronic resources and also allowed provide access to resources format in different formats. One can have access to technology in via the video, the audio, the simulation, the animation, and so on and so forth. The technology also provides conducive learning environment, such as online environment. It promotes mobile learning environment. Continuous professional development can be supported by the use of technology. Then the globalization and regional online community. This cannot be achieved without using technology. There are different technologies can be applicable, such as wiki blogs, podcasts, WebQuest, Skype, TeacherTube, SchoolTube, and so on and so forth. We have so many technologies that can be applied for teaching in our classroom. Next slide. Technology for learning. Just as we have for teaching, we have most of the technologies that in existence are supporting different learning strategies, whether informal learning, formal learning, non-formal learning, or individualized learning or collaborative learning. Any form of learning, the present technology supports them. And technology also provides you access to different kinds of learning in terms of learning style, because we have different types of learners. We have visual learners, those that can only learn better when they can see what they are learning. That we call them visual learner. We have auditory learners. These are the people that they only learn better when they listen to the lecture. The other one are kinestical learners. These are the people that they learn by manipulating. These are the ones that they mostly use game-based learning to acquire to perform better. So in this case, technology provides different kinds of learning style, irrespective of the individual differences. Apart from this, some people can learn at their own pace. Technology provides access for people to learn at their own pace. You learn at your own pace, at your own will, at your own time, based on your schedule. This can always be acquired by technology. All this cannot be applicable in the normal traditional classroom settings. Similarly, technology for learning promotes motivation and engagement. Unlike in traditional classroom where the students are passive, but here, if the students are engaged, they really make meaning out of the learning. In other words, the actualization of 21st century skills can only be acquired by using appropriate technology for learning. Next slide, please. Then we have technology for assessment. Any form of assessment can be supported by technology, either diagnostic assessment, formative assessment, all the kind of and summative assessment can only be supported by using technology, any form of technology that supports assessment. Technology also supports online survey. Then there are so many assessment formats can be done using technology. Technology can also be used to assess learners via the video, the audio, the animation, the simulation, and so on and so forth. The technology can be used for authoring tools, sharing tools, to assess a wider range of skills. Then management of assessment is easily possible using the technology. Most of the universities in Nigeria now, the parents can just go onto the website and have access to the student results. All these are being brought about by the technology. Next slide. So there are a variety of technologies that are available. More are still coming. Just 2016, Mrs. Lewis discovered over 200 learning tools that we can apply in the classroom. But it does not matter how many resources we have. If you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. Next slide, please. So the 21st century has brought about paradigm shift in education from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. For example, teacher-centered instruction is in vogue, is the old one that applicable in 19th century, 20th century. But presently, it's now learner-centered. I've explained this. Single-cell stimulation was the old method, while multi-sensory stimulation is what we have presently. Single-path progression is what you have been operating before, but now you have multi-path progression. Single media is what is applied before, but now we are into multimedia, which take care of different type of individual differences. Then isolated work, where students work alone. In fact, if you even be doing assignment, you doesn't want other people to know that you're doing an assignment. But this time around, the emphasis is on collaborative work, where the students work as a team and submit a simple assignment. Next slide, please. Then information delivery has also changed to information exchange. The passive and receptive learning style has changed to active and inquiry-based learning, where the students more active and impact on the what they want to learn. Unlike before, where the teacher only whatever the teacher gives is what they memorize and they give back. But this time around, the students read ahead and they inquire more about what they want to learn than what the teacher is giving. If the teacher is not even careful this time around, the student will correct him that, look, what you are using or what you are giving us, we have gotten it on the internet. Then the factual knowledge base is the old one. This time around, it's the critical thinking which informs decision making. That's what is operating in the 21st century. Then the reactive response is the old one. Why now we are using proactive and planned style. Isolated and artificial context was the former one. In the 21st century pedagogy, now we are using authentic and real world context. Next. But meanwhile, for all what I have been saying, technology will never replace teacher. But teachers who use technology will probably replace teachers who do not. Next. So there are some competency required of 21st century teachers. The teacher of this 21st century, they are more tasking than the old one, because there's many things are expected from them. So meanwhile, it is not that we use technology, but we live technology. Technology is not just a tool in terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, but teacher is the most important aspect. Technology alone cannot be effective without being the teacher who does all the necessary things that make technology work. From the diagram we are seeing, you see that the 21st century teachers have a lot to do. They are to facilitate learning, not to deliver or to impart learning. They are to facilitate learning. The student does most of the work, whereas the teacher only monitor and coordinate the student activities. Next. So technology integration in the 21st century education. There are some components of technology integration. The first one is a policy. The second one is implementation, while the third one is practices. And this has to come up from macro level. Macro level has to do with at national level, that is, and federal government level, state level, and even at local government level. The policy has to be formulated and implemented. At measured level, this has to do with that from the school authority, how the policy is being formulated, implemented, and practiced. Then at macro level, that has to do with at teacher level. Teacher has to follow the policy, then implement it and practice it. But having done this, in Nigeria formulated a lot of policies. Next slide. Nigeria formulated a lot of policy, especially to improve the integration of technology into classroom teaching. Next slide, please. So if you look at Nigeria policy, the first policy on on ICT development in Nigeria was the National Policy on Computer Literacy at primary, secondary, and tertiary levels of education in 1988, followed by another policy launched by the federal government, that is National Telecommunication Policy, that was launched in September 2000, followed by development of a comprehensive science and technology policy, 2001, launching of National Information Technology Policy, another one, 2001, establishment of the NITDA, that was 2001. Next slide. So launching of the NASDAQ, that one was another 2001. Development of National Infrastructure Backbone is another policy for ICT that cut across all aspects of Nigeria enterprises. School is inclusive. Then development and launching of the mobile internet unit for schools in remote areas was another good policy, followed by the establishment of Rural Internet Resources Center in the 6th geopolitical zones. All are laudable policies, but all these policies, they died prematurely. Some did not even see the light of the day. Then, next one. If you look at Machaka and Bakele 2008 and 2013, they designed a model, we call it success factor in technology integration. For technology to be successfully integrated, there are some factors to be taken into consideration. Human factor is one, which involves stakeholders, ICT competency, stakeholders need assessment, and many others. They are followed by the cost and program factors. Clear goals and expectations of the program will enable us to know whether we can integrate technology or not. Then the quality, the activities, the project, the portfolio, the relevance, the motivating, the challenging of that course or the program is another factor that has to be considered. Then we have pedagogical factor. This has to do with learner-centered, learning method, all this has to do with pedagogy. Then the leadership factor too, policy development, monitoring of the policy, the evaluation of that policy at macro, meso, and micro level. All these are leadership factors that affect or promote the success of technology integration in any country. Then the other one is technology factor, the access to the technology, the facility, the asynchronous, synchronous system configuration, user friendliness of the technology. All these factors are the ICT success indices for technology to be integrated into our education. Next slide, please. Next. This is a warning. We have some challenges ahead. Next. The challenges have to do with problems associated with technology integration in Nigeria. We all know that Nigeria has a peculiar problem. No internet services, no electricity supply, no locally produced software for teaching and learning in schools, poor economy and its effects, high cost of ICT facilities, the shortage of ICT experts in schools. Most of the ICT experts don't want to come to the classroom. They prefer to go to the firms, where they are going to pay them in dollars. We have teacher factors. Most of the teachers are not even aware that they can use technology to improve their classroom. Then some that even aware the problem of change. They don't want to change from the traditional method of teaching to the new one. Then another problem is outdated curriculum. If you look at what we presented earlier, that on the 21st century skills, our curriculum does not tally, does not work towards acquiring these 21st century skills. We are still operating on 19th century skills as a curriculum. Another problem is instability of technology, because the developed world are not waiting. They are not waiting for us. They are moving faster. If the technology comes out today, in the next 3 months, another one is out, making the one that you want to prefer to be an outdated one. So instability of technology also is a problem. The lack of maintenance culture. In some schools, we have some technology, but they don't allow no maintenance. You see some schools that are being equipped with a computer. There's one NGO, they call them SchoolNet. They equipped some schools 10 years ago with computers, internet facilities, But if you go to those schools now, you will see that nothing is in that computer lab. Either it has been stolen, or it's not maintained, or so many other problems. So we have lack of maintenance culture. It's another problem that's affecting Nigerians to properly integrate technology in teaching and learning. Next slide. There's an adage that says that where there's a will, there must be a way. All these problems are intimidating, frustrating, and even is highly devastating. But when there's a will, there must be a way. If you have vision, then you can improvise. If you are highly determined, these problems can be overcome. Next slide. If you look at the slide, you see that these are children that are trying to pick something on the wall, but you can see the height is a barrier. In spite of the height that is a barrier, the children are still focused. One is trying to bring the stone for the other to climb in order for hand to reach. So what I'm emphasizing on this diagram is that if you have vision, automatically, no matter the challenges, you can still do something better. Next slide. On the issue of improvisation, no matter the environment, I must enjoy my game. This is a typical rural area where they don't have access to snooker, but they improvise. So there's nothing stop us as a nation. If you cannot have access to the developed or the sophisticated equipment, you can still do away with the little one we have. You can improvise, so that these are the main way in which you can move forward. Because the world is not waiting for us. The world are moving fast, and we should not say because you have some challenges, you could not integrate technology into our classroom teaching and learning. Next slide. And we must be determined. You can see, disability is not an excuse. From the slide we are seeing, you can see this one is a physically challenged, but still, you still have the skill. He has the determination to get to the destination. Next one. Next slide. So there are so many software that we have developed to teach for teaching and learning, even for assessment at the secondary school level in Nigeria here. And most of these software have been tested. Some schools are using them as at now, because most of the schools where we tested this software, they pleaded that we should give them, and presently it's being adopted and is being used. Next. So we developed several software. Some of them are the next slide, please. Some of the software include virtual laboratory, computer simulation, edutainment instructional package, flip classroom, mobile learning application, gamification, electronic response system, computer assisted instructional package, and many others. Next slide. So like virtual laboratory, we realize that there's lack of inadequate laboratory facilities in Nigeria, lack of laboratory equipment, and this is responsible for unsatisfactory performance in some science subjects in Nigeria. The rural area is even worse. If you go to some rural area, there's nothing like laboratory, and the students are offering science. You'll be wondering how are these students are going to for examination and pass. So because of this one motivated us to develop some software package like Gambari Ito 2012, Gambari Ito 2018. We developed the virtual laboratory for teaching secondary school chemistry and physics in Niger State. And when we tested the software in most of the schools, we realized that the virtual laboratory improved the chemistry and physics student performance by 98%. Many biological concepts or science concepts, they are abstract in nature. And some of them are difficult for teachers to teach. And for also difficult for students to understand because of the attractiveness of the nature of science. And invariably, this lead to poor academic performance in both internal and external examination. So in order to overcome this problem of abstract nature of science concepts, we developed some software, computer simulation, instructional software for teaching digestive system and mechanism concepts in biology and physics at senior secondary school level in Nigeria. And our findings so that students taught with a computer simulation, they perform better than their counterpart taught with conventional teaching method. It's marginal difference of 95.7% in biology and 91.4% in physics compared to those taught with a traditional teaching method. Next slide. Next slide, please. So similarly, we gather that most of the students, they are toward the music, movies, Nollywood film, sports, and different form of entertainment. All this has a negative effect on the academic performance of students, according to Fanta and Kelly, 2018. In this case, how do you overcome this problem of students engaging in much entertainment? So this come about development of entertainment instructional package for teaching biology, economics, and some other subjects. We use this software in collaborative environment for students at Abuja and those in Niger State. And we realized that students exposed to entertainment in collaborative learning setting, they perform 90.91% than their counterparts in other conventional methods. Similarly, students taught with a video-based entertainment software were 98.06 better than their counterparts in conventional teaching methods. Next. Then another software we work on is a flipped classroom. A teacher in Nigerian classroom is mostly mostly use teacher-centered approach, which invariably led students to become passive learning and making the class to be bored, and invariably led to the poor performance. So we now come with idea of a flipped classroom. Flipped classroom is one of the 21st century teaching pedagogy. In this case, in the normal traditional classroom, teacher teach the class and followed by the assignment or homework. But in the flipped classroom, the homework comes first before the classroom. The teacher will be given a kind of software. They can flip the class by video, by even it can be a text material that students will go and read ahead before the class. Then when they come to the class, the teacher doesn't teach anything, he only facilitates and those taught without using the flipped classroom with marginal difference of 91.83%, 97.97%, and 98.08% in English language. Then the next one is, you can see the chart there. The next software is, we develop mobile app for teaching biology at pre-service, for pre-service teacher at college education, and also for teaching computer science at polytechnics. What motivated us is that we realized that mobile devices, especially smartphone, is a great distraction and has been frustrating intellectual scholarship, especially in developing nations, because we are not guiding our students on how to use the mobile devices. Rather, we allow them to be free with it and use it anyhow. So in order to overcome this problem, we are not guiding our students on how to use mobile devices. Rather, have been installed 2017 and Xamarin installed 2021. We developed mobile app for teaching biology pre-service teacher at College of Education and also for teaching computer science at polytechnics. We now realize that the use of mobile applications to augment classroom instruction provide a huge difference of 96.3% and 92.8% against those taught lecture method without using mobile app to augment their learning. And you can see the graph of the student performance based on the mobile app here. The next one, please. What's brought about the gamification is that Nigerian students are not physically and mentally engaged in learning process because of the no use of digital technology that promote engagement and social interaction, entertainment, active participation, and immediate feedback. And if you look at playing the game, especially for learning purpose, it provides all these problems that we are trying to solve. So Ajanaku Ito 2019, Gambara and Wokuta 2021, we developed gamification instructional software packages for teaching genetics and ecology concepts in biology for senior secondary schools in Nigeria. Our finding revealed that students taught with gamification, they perform better than those taught without using gamification. So in this case, we realized that students were engaged, they catch fun, and they were motivated, and they got immediate feedback in using the system and using the gamification for learning. One of the gamifications that we use is similar to that of a map is Beacon software. The other one we developed has to do with a system of like who want to be a millionaire in such a way that most of the questions to be asked are in form of that of who wants to be a millionaire, and it's being moderated. And students saw it, and they performed very wonderfully because it engaged them, it enabled them to participate actively, and they get instant feedback or whatever answer they click. The next one, please. Next one. Yes, we also developed another software developed this software, and we Gamari of 2021C, we developed and assessed a mobile for teaching computer science in colleges of education in Southwest Nigeria. And by the time we exposed the students to this software and this equipment, it solved the problem of participation in the class and poor classroom management, because at any instance, when the teacher presents a lecture for about 5 minutes, a question will pop up on the screen, and all the students have their own clicker. Instantly, they will click the answer, and you see the graph of how the student answers rise from A, B, C, D. From this, the teacher will be informed of how students are following people pick A, how many people pick B. And the clicker has been attached to their matric number and their name. At the end of the day, the teacher can go and check how many students are following the lecture, how many of them click the answer wrongly. So when we use this and we compare it with another kind of students in another large class, and we realize that these students perform better with 84.8% than those who are not taught with this electoral response system. The next one, please. And receive immediate feedback, which could not be obtained in the conventional classroom, was the one that led us to this software. And with my team, we developed software package for teaching physics, geometry, algebra concepts among senior secondary schools in Nigeria. And from the finding, students taught using computer-assisted instructional software exceptionally and excellently better than those taught using conventional method of teaching. Next slide. Next slide. So we realize that there are some other educational variables that determine the student performance. Most of the educational stakeholders, they don't know that there are some other variables that determine the student performance. For example, the teaching method, the method the teacher applies in the classroom has a great influence on the performance of the student in any examination. Apart from that, the learning retention, the amount of learning the student can retain after a certain period, has also influence on the academic performance of such students. Then the gender inequality. In every classroom, we have gender inequality. The female are treated in some cases. and this causes gender imbalance, and this can also affect the student performance. Then the ability level of students in the particular classroom setup, we have three sets of students, that is the high achiever student, medium achiever student, and low achiever student. All of them are locked together in the same classroom. It doesn't take cognizance that there's individual differences among this group. So it doesn't go, sometimes if you do higher achiever, we get lost. In this case, how do we balance this? So it's another variable that affects the student performance. Another one is the student attitude to the teacher that's taking the course. If the student has a bad attitude or a negative attitude to the teacher, automatically, invariably, it will affect his performance. Or he doesn't like the subject, for example, like mathematics, where most of the student doesn't like. So all this has negative effect on the student. Either into technology. Next slide, please. We use technology to bridge this gap, to solve this problem that are influencing the student performance in schools. For example, on the issue of student performance, on the issue of teaching method, when we apply different teaching strategies with technology, we realize that technology improves. No matter how bad the teacher method is, by the time you use technology, integrate technology in the classroom, automatically the student performance will increase. For example, look at the graph here. We use web-based learning and we use conventional method here. The students that taught with web-based learning, they perform 80.53% higher than their counterparts that were taught the same concept. That those ones score 41.05%. Whereas at the initial stage, when we give them the pretest, there's no signal difference between the two group of students. So meaning that if you use technology to support our teaching strategy, automatically the student will perform better. The next slide. Next slide. Desire to learn and inability to comprehend concepts. Apart from that, there's too much of mental tension are the major causes of learning retention among secondary school students in Nigeria. Students will learn today, especially even at higher institution, is even worse. If a student finishes your course, and then you remember the course title, talk less of the name of the lecturer, or talk less of the name of the content in the course they have just finished. And this has to do with knowledge retention. So we use technology to improve the knowledge retention in some of our studies we conducted by Gambari and Suberi 2008, Gambari 2014D. We determined the impact of video-based instructional packages on student achievement and retention in primary science, as well as biology among primary and secondary school students in Niger State. We realized that using technology to teach these students, it improved their learning retention, irrespective of any subject. One of the study is the graph is shown below here, where we use a video instructional package, where the student has a retention of at posted they score 68.38. After 4 weeks of that test, uninformed, we went to the class again and give them the same test, but we resolve it. The only thing that there is difference of loss of 5.36 in their retention, which is very okay compared to when we use conventional classroom method. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yes, the gender inequality. The literature supports male students always perform better than female students, especially in science subjects. So thereby, how do you overcome this problem? Me and my students, we developed some software to teach second school students in chemistry, in biology, and at the end of the day, we realized that the students' gender inequality were able to balance. Male and female perform equally better. Similarly, on the influence of technology integration toward improving student ability, we know that high achiever, medium achiever, and lower achiever, they are all in the same classroom. In the case, and the studies say that most of the time, the high achiever level perform better than the others. How do we use technology to bridge the gap? So we use different type of technology like virtual-based learning, computer-based instructional, and so on and so forth. On high, medium, and low students in chemistry, physics, and mathematics. Surprisingly, the high achiever, the medium achiever, and the lower achiever, they all perform equally better. So technology can bridge the gap of ability level of students, as can be shown on as can be seen on the screen here. The next slide, please. Yeah. We use technology also to enhance students' positive attitude to learning. Just as I said that some students will not like the subject because of the teacher taking the subject. Some, they just have the hatred for the subject. But how can we use technology to bridge the gap of or to motivate students to have positive attitude to learning? So we developed some software and we tested them on students, and we realized that the final revealed that the technology integration influences students' positive attitude to learning and mostly also improve their students' academic performance. As you can see on the attitude to the subject were very poor, but by the time they taught them with interactive whiteboard, they started to like the subject and they started to have their performance also increased, also improved. As you can see from this, we have 95.56% when they were taught with interactive whiteboard. Those that were taught with PowerPoint presentation, they have 82.23% compared to those that were taught with a chalkboard. Next one. Similarly, we realize that lack of motivation or motivation is a predictor of academic success. So thereby, we use some technology and we tested them in the school, especially on students in chemistry, biology, and physics, to test their intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is the motivation that comes from their mind, from their heart, while the extrinsic one is the one that either we promise to give them a gift after they come first in the exam, or they perform better, they get some kind of reward. So at the end of the day, student motivation was highly increased, both intrinsically and extrinsically, when we use technology to improve their performance. And you can see the result here that 94.08% and 91.71% were the students. These are the scores the students obtained when they were taught using computer simulation package. The next slide. So, future of technology in education beyond 21st century. Technology is the one driving the economy, driving every aspect of human endeavor. Thereby, technology integration must focus on the new 5 trends that are shaping the future of work. That is the new behavior, the technology, the millennial workforce, the mobility, and integrating them into Nigeria school is very, very important. The development of artificial intelligence and robots for teaching face-to-face and online classroom is what we are going to see in the nearest future. The development of nano technology that technology is going, because you can realize that there is virtual reality, augmented reality, and apparently 21st century skill is a necessity for Nigeria to achieve a global job mobility. We realize that some of our students are you with me? Because they are not being engaged or involved in the 21st century skills that required by the global market. And similarly, our education product will not solve any problem if technology meant to support innovative teaching and learning are not really available at all levels of education. So this one will lead us to produce graduates who cannot even think outside the box. So there are many challenges actually and difficulties in integrating technology in schools. But that will notwithstanding, we have to put our effort together to infuse technology into classroom in such a way that The area of student performance will increase, it will improve. The learning retention will also improve. The ability level of students will be bridged together, and the gender inequality will be we use technology to overcome the problem of gender inequality in the classroom. The learner attitude as well as motivation will also improve. So if we integrate technology into classroom. So technology integration in education is the means to actualize the 21st century skills that we make. On recommendations, teachers should be encouraged to embrace 21st century pedagogy and integrate modern digital technologies into their classroom instruction process. The secondly, there is need to restructure the existing curriculum at on all levels of education to reflect 21st century skills and the best global practice. But we realize that we are still operating on the 19th century curriculum. All these skills being mentioned earlier on is not captured in our curriculum. So number three, the government and non-governmental organizations should procure and deploy adequate ICT facilities to schools in order for us to compete academically in the global market. Next slide, please. Federal government should remove tax on importation of digital technology devices for education sector. This will go a long way for most of the schools, private and state government, to procure some technological equipment that can be used in the classroom. The government should provide adequate manpower and technical support for ICT implementation in schools. Government have a lot of good policies, but there's no manpower for implementation of such policy at macro level, meso level, as well as micro level. Then the students will be guided, especially the students in our institutions, they should be guided on the positive use of mobile technology devices so that this can promote their effective learning. Because we see that most of the students go about with the mobile devices, but they are using it negatively. They are not using it for purpose of learning. And there's no way we can separate them from this mobile technology. But we should endeavor to make sure that at least we guide them on how it can be used appropriately. Like in my class, I don't seize phone from my students. I only guide you on how to use it. I encourage them to use the phone either to record my lecture. Later on, they can watch it at their own leisure time. Either record the audio or they record the video of it. Or sometimes I send the slides ahead of the class. Whenever I'm in the class, they can still use their phone to follow the slide or the presentation I'm making on the class. So I use the smartphone in effective manner rather than for us to seize the phone, smash the phone on ground, and so on and so forth. So finally, technology is the prime mover and a significant factor in how education in the future will differ from education of today. So there's no way you can disintegrate technology from education. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Prof, for that very engaging presentation. And I hope we've actually gained what we are meant to gain from that. Basically, when you look at all our three discussions for today, one thing is certain: you cannot divorce technology from education. Right now, that is the time that we're in, and this is something that it is here, and it is even inevitable. So it's up to us to actually face up to that challenge, and of course, try and as much as possible to get on to this particular gravy train before it leaves the station. So we're going to take just one question for Prof. I have a question here for Abdul Mumin. He said, Prof, earlier you said that technology can never replace the teacher, but I fear that in the future it may. If robots are developed to teach face-to-face, then what is the role of the teacher?
Thank you very much. The robot is going to be programmed to teach, but who is going to be the one to program it, or who is going to deliver, who is going to develop the content that the robot will develop? Is teacher. So that's why the teacher is inevitable as long as technology is concerned. The teacher role can never be displaced because the content matter, who owns it is the teacher, and the teacher that will now produce the content. Most of this software I discussed with you today, it was developed. The content was developed by the teacher, based the subject expert, who are the teacher. They develop the concept, based on the school curriculum, and we started. I mean, we validate most of the questions. I mean, most of the software, most of the content being developed by the teachers. We give it to lecturer in the universities to look at it, whether it's in line with the curriculum, whether it's okay with the level of the student that it's meant for. All these are the role of the teacher in the technology area. So technology can never replace teacher, just as I said, because the technology alone cannot do without the teacher. If I put computer in the classroom and I put the projector, everything, without anybody to deliver, the lecture will not, the projector and the laptop, they cannot teach on their own. It's the teacher that will do it. But in the case of robot will be programmed on what to do. Who will be behind the scene is the teacher. So the teachers should not be afraid that their job will be replaced. Their job can never be replaced. Thank you.
All right, so I hope that answers your question, Abdul Mumin, concerning teachers' roles and technology and what robots can and cannot do. So like the Prof just said, okay, the robot has to receive his instructions from somewhere. And yeah, well, that's where the teacher will come in. So I believe for the foreseeable future, our futures as teachers is actually safe for as far as we can see it. So another question from me, Prof. You made mention of when we're talking about the challenges to technology and education, we actually spoke about infrastructure. It's obvious that we are behind when it comes to infrastructural development, infrastructure to actually support these technologies. You understand, because as you can see, during the course of this presentation, we've been having audio problems, network issues, and whatnot. So how do you think we can circumvent these problems as we are right now, and with the fear of not being left behind by the rest of the world? I said we talked about the lack of infrastructure in this part of the world for technological development. And I was saying that how can we be able to circumvent that? Because the whole world is moving ahead right now, and we are being held back by this lack of infrastructure. So what can we do to be able to not be left behind?
Okay, it's very simple, because actually the world are operating they are using more sophisticated technology in the teaching and learning environment. But we can do with the little we have here. Let me give you an instance. There's one school here, University Model School here, the classroom. They were able to do with smartphone. So they just asked the parents to give the smartphone for their children 2 hours every day. And you believe that with the smartphone, they were able to use WhatsApp platform to teach and to be able to conduct tests for the students. So actually, infrastructure is a challenge, but you should not wait. The little technology we have, we can make use of them. We can make use of them effectively for challenges. Hello?
Okay. All right. Yes, Facebook, I can hear you. So thank you very much for.
Even ordinary Facebook, we can do with Facebook, creating group for our students on Facebook, and post all our lecture, video, lecture, audio one, including the text on the Facebook. And you wonder how the student will use it, and they perform very well using this kind of technology. There was a time that I blended my class. I used blended learning. I blended my class face to face with online, the net, via the group Facebook. And that time the students are creating with Facebook. So I'm trying to divert their attention from using the Facebook for learning purposes. In that case, after the lecture, I will upload a video of the class presentation onto the Facebook. The same thing, the content will be uploaded there. And here we started chatting, I started asking questions, started interacting, rather than waiting for sophisticated technology, because of the nature of our country.
Very much for that response, Prof. So and thank you very much as well, Dr. Henry. I saw your a response with the question of robots, and it is actually true. It can actually maybe affect the number, but not the quality, because the teacher has to be there to program these robots and to do what is required of them. On the question of using technology for education, I think this is maybe this goes in relation to what Dr. Henry just explained right now. But how do we use technology, or should I say, how do we best use technology to be able to identify these individual learning styles that people actually have? You understand? We have situations whereby you have pupils in a class. Some have dyslexia, sorry. Some have other learning disabilities or whatnot, and we can't be able to find out or figure out or diagnose that these are the people. The problems these people have, or these pupils have. So how can we be able to use technology to best suit that, and in order to cater for these people that have individual learning needs? You understand?
Okay, it's very simple. What we normally do, especially at distance learning, because I'm deputy director for distance learning in my university here. We produce our instructional material, our learning resources in mixed media. In mixed media simply means that we have the same content. We have it in video, we have it in audio, we have it in game-based, and we have it in simulation. So thereby, it's not left for the student to go for anyone that is more appropriate to him. So what we normally do at the initial stage is that we have what they call learner's profile. We get the profile of learner. From the learner profile, we get most of the information concerning their learning style when they fill the learner profiles. Most of the information that we need to know about them is there in the learner profile. So in this case, this is why we let us know that those that are they like study with audio, how many of them? Those that they like visual, how many of them? Those that are this. We are going to analyze it and get a rough figure of those people that are interested in a particular learning style than the other. But meanwhile, irrespective of the figure we got from the learner profile questionnaire we sent out, our instructional resources are in mixed media, such a way that you can pick anyone you like. For example, like in distance learning, some may be a driver and want to have degree almost on the road. So this kind of driver, we like to pick the audio medium, for example, audio medium as of instruction, because as he's driving, he can just put the CD or the flash in the car tape and continue listening to the lecture until he gets to the destination with his passenger. So audio can be applicable to such kind of people. Similarly, we have other people that have some other type schedule. That's for them to even open the book and read. They don't have time for that. They can listen to the lecture as long as they are available to listen to such kind of lecture. So that's why we make it in mixed media. So mixed media solve the problem of learner individual differences or learning style of individual learners.
Okay, can I also add to that?
So thank you very much. Go on,
okay.
Go on, please.
Okay, thank you, Prof. In addition to what Prof just said now, we can also do a kind of observation, in a class where a particular format of content is presented. For instance, maybe auditory material that is presented to a group of learners, and as a teacher, you're observing whether this particular set of students is going to be interested in interacting with that particular learning material. And if he's not interested, then you try to, try to change it a little bit to get his attention, to be able to identify what actually attract that learner. So we need to also look at observation, pay attention in class while you are presenting, make use of all of those learning materials and see which one actually attract this particular student, which one attract this particular student. And one of the ways I used to do it in my class, especially in UI, what I would do is to I would just ask the student, I'll give them questions, just like Professor said. Then after that, then I will give them the available learning materials available. So what I will do now, I will now look at the level of engagements with that particular learning material. So from that, I'll be able to say, okay, maybe a large number of students make use of this particular material, then another percentage of students make use of this particular learning. So from that, I'll be able to know that, okay, this particular learning material is suitable for this set of students, and this one is suitable for this set of students, then we now make that available.
All right, so thank you very much for that, Dr. Henry. I think this just still goes back to underline the point that you made earlier, that no matter how technologically advanced we want to be or we are, nothing beats that human touch and that human experience, because it's only a person that can be able to make some of these determinations through careful observation and, of course, making informed decisions. So thank you very much for that response. So at this point, I'd really like to appreciate and thank everyone for coming on to this webinar today. And it is our belief that it was as engaging and as eye-opening as we prayed that it would be. As I mentioned earlier, we at FlexiSAF Edusoft Limited, we are determined and we have a strong belief in improving education through technology, using technology as that fuel to drive education and take it to where it needs to be in Nigeria and, of course, beyond. I'd like to thank all our attendees. And of course, also encourage us once again to avail ourselves with the opportunities that we have. For example, this particular platform that we just talked about today, that is our SAFLearn platform. Go there, look at these courses, register, take these courses and get certified so that you can be able to build your capacity. And of course, use the opportunity that you have now by coming onto this webinar to get those freebies. And we also like to appreciate and thank our speakers for today. Dr. Henry, thank you very much for your time and for your very insightful and eye-opening presentation. So we appreciate you and thank you very much for that as well. We also like to thank Mrs. Pam of the TRCN and of course, who was ably represented by Mrs. Mary for giving us that very important presentation as well concerning the career path for us teachers, so that we can know where we need to go and what we need to get there. And of course, a very big thank you goes out to Professor Gambari for giving us his time as well, and of course the insightful presentation that he was able to give us here today. So thank you very much, and we appreciate you all, and we look forward to seeing you very soon again, because we hope to make a habit of this so that we can be able to rub minds and of course build our capacity and improve ourselves both as teachers, individuals, and of course professionals. So thank you very much everyone for coming on today, and we hope to see you very, very soon. So thank you very much and have a lovely day as well.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.